So, today we go to lift weights, which is fine. I've done that about 3 times in the last 3 years. But we're in there, we're kicking butt. I'm wasting myself. I can barely do this now. It's alright, we're having a good time. And what do we do afterwards? We go play soccer. Oh yeah, I'm really going to be a very effective soccer player with that much energy after lifting weights for an hour. So I got video footage instead. Hopefully I'm not recording over it right now. But the reason why I bring that up is everybody's worked out like that before. Everybody knows how that feels afterwards. Now, after an experience tonight, that's pretty much how I feel spiritually. It's just... Now, like I mentioned before, I've been here 3 weeks, halfway through a transfer already, can't believe that. But anyway, 3 weeks in this area, and talked to 3 Spanish people, 2 of them which were children, and none of them interested. And so, today, on a blitz, me and Elder Clark go tracting, and we basically knock one door. We actually get into the house of this one door, and we sit down and start teaching. So, I can't think of one time where I've been more frustrated, my mission basically. Sorry, you can see how late it is. I'm really hungry, but I don't want to waste time, so I have to do both. This guy is trying to tell us that the Catholic Church is the only true church, and he knows that that's the only true church. I've never met a Catholic with such conviction before. This conviction lays on the fact that he believes that the papal lineage goes back all the way to Peter, and that there's nothing we can do to prove that wrong, And both me and Clark was really good about it, because he knew that we can't just sit there and bash him, we can't Bible bash him and stuff like that. We just need to get him to pray. He was so stubborn he would not pray. Basically come down to the point where he says, no, I will not pray about us being true. The whole time, we're in there for about 40 minutes. Everything that happens next is in the last 5 minutes. Right? He basically comes out and says, I will not pray. And this whole time, whatever, 35, 40 minutes, whatever, I hardly said a word, just sitting there taking this in, just absorbing it, getting it shoved in my face, just wanting to say something, but knowing that almost everything I was going to say is going to be ineffective. So I just basically say, well, you know what? I have prayed. I have prayed, and I know, not through study, not through the convincing of man's words. I know through nothing else, from the Holy Ghost, that our church is the only true church. The Catholic Church is false. It fell into apostasy, and most of the world knows that, because even though there are hundreds of millions of Catholics, most of the Christian world is non-Catholic, is Protestant or restored. And I basically told them, no, your church is not right. And of course I didn't have the time to try to go into what, but I basically said, like in about a 30-second breath, I was just so out of breath, but I had to keep going. I basically said, I can prove it to you through the apostasy, I can prove it to you through authority, I can prove to show you all the ordinances that you guys changed throughout the years. But you're not going to believe any of that. That's why we're saying you just need to pray, like I have. And then all the other people have, too. And that finally got his attention. That finally... Because he says he's talking to missionaries before. I believe him. Actually, I know the missionaries he's talked to before. But something finally that was said that really got his attention. He asked a question that showed that he finally started thinking about it. And he said, he was still being spiteful about it, but he said, oh yeah, well, where does your authority come from? Our authority comes from Pope, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, wow, he finally wants to know. We got him in a position where we can finally teach him. And so I said, well, authority comes from Peter, James, and John. Didn't really expand on that. It wasn't really a good time to. But just that enough alone got his attention enough to get us to return appointment. So after having nothing close to a return in all my time here in Scarborough, we finally had a guy that if we finally get him to break down his pride, and if we actually get him to pray, he can be one of the strongest members in the sport someday. That's hope, that's satisfaction, and after that I'm just going yeah. It was a good feeling, but it was a dead feeling.